Hello everyone, my name is Sydney and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to make a video that I really wish existed last August or last, I don't know, summer. And this video is going to be how to transfer, for UC Berkeley, how to transfer from the College of Letters and Sciences to the College of Engineering, which if you look on the website, it makes it sound absolutely impossible. And they do that for a reason, because they really don't want freshmen to apply to the university through LNS, because it's easier to get into LNS with the intention of transferring to the College of Engineering. But if you're like me and you applied to LNS thinking you actually wanted to be there, and then eventually decided that you would prefer to do engineering, this is the video for you. So yeah, I think, I'll introduce myself first. I'm currently a second year at UC Berkeley, and I just got approved to switch majors into mechanical engineering at UC Berkeley. I was a physics major for the first year, and then last semester I pretty much took courses in order to get myself to where I needed to be in order to apply and eventually get into the College of Engineering, because the physics and engineering course load didn't exactly match up, so I had to catch up on some things. Anyways, I'm gonna just get right into it. So the first thing you're gonna do is you need to look through the major list and you need to figure out what major you want to do within the College of Engineering. I originally thought I wanted to do Bio-E actually, but then I was talking to someone who transferred, and the thing about transferring into the College of Engineering is that if you transfer into the college, you can't change your major once you get there. So that's definitely one thing to consider, is that once you're in, you can't change your major. So you need to make sure you want to do it. But once you, so I was talking to someone who had switched from LNS into COE through Bio-E, and he said his only regret was that he didn't choose Mech-E because it's a little bit more broad and a little bit more widely applicable, which I thought was really interesting. And since I don't really know exactly what I want to do as a profession, I think Mech-E is, or when I say Mech-E, I'm assuming you know it means mechanical engineering, but if you didn't know, then that's what it means. But I switched into Mech-E just to give myself like a wider, I don't know, it's more versatile. And yeah, I think that's kind of just why I picked Mech-E. But yeah, the big thing is that you can't transfer, or you can't switch majors once you're in, as far as they've told me. Yeah, so that's it for choosing a major. And then my next note is just to say, like, if you're trying to switch, you don't need to be afraid. It's not as difficult as the website says. It says it's going to be nearly impossible, but if you're well prepared for it, then and if you fill out the application like sincerely, I think you'll probably get in as long as you meet the requirements. Yeah. And then, okay, so when I figured out that I wanted to switch in the middle of my second semester. So my second semester of freshman year, I was like, physics isn't for me. I don't want to do this anymore. Like, it's a lot of physics, and I want to switch to something more practical, more tangible. So that's kind of when I decided that I wanted to switch, and by that point, the application period for that semester had already passed, so there's no point in switching right then and there. But when it came time for enrollment, I looked up the course requirements for mechanical engineering, and then I kind of had to go through and figure out like what they had taken that I hadn't taken and what I had taken that they hadn't taken yet, and then I just kind of had to figure everything out. I ended up having to catch up on like a math class, a chem class. I had to get like another requirement out of the way as well. But I spent pretty much all of my first semester of sophomore year catching up on everything that I had missed in freshman year. And luckily for me, I had already taken my second year of physics, or my second semester of physics, and they were still taking that. So it kind of balanced out a little bit, and I'm not too far behind. But yeah, whenever you notice that you want to switch, make sure that the next enrollment period you're in classes that will help you towards your major. Because yeah, you want to take classes that are going to help prepare you to transfer. And if you're in your second year, then before you apply, they would really prefer it for you to have completed the required freshman course load. And I'll get into why it made it a pain in the ass for me a little bit later. But yeah, you're gonna want to have completed most, if not all, of the required freshman course load for whatever major you're going into by the time you apply. And including in that, you need to have taken at least one engineering course. Yeah. And so I guess I'll just kind of go into my application process. So I decided probably in like March that I wanted to switch, but by then, the window had closed, whatever. So I kind of started preparing my change of major information then. And the window for to submit applications is like the first, I actually don't know what it is, but it's the first it starts on the day that the semester begins, and then I think it goes until it goes for a month or something like that. Yeah, it goes first day of instruction until October 1st, or if you're doing it in the spring semester, it's first day of instruction until March 1st. So you have like a month and a half, 2 months to apply. I prepared everything during the summer, and then I applied like the first week of school, just because I wanted to get it out of the way. So the way it was supposed to go was that I applied in August, maybe I applied in September, I don't remember. I applied as early as I could get my stuff together. And then you're supposed to get results back in November. So between November 1st and November 30th, or for the spring, August 1st through 20th is when you're supposed to get your results back. And now here's where it gets funky for me, was that I hadn't taken an engineering course, and so therefore I hadn't finished the freshman course load by the time I applied, although I was enrolled in it at the time. So I finished most of it, but I was in E7 when I applied. And so I got an email back in November that said, we're not going to deny you, but we are going to wait until the end of the semester when grades come out in order to approve the change of major, which basically just means we need an engineering grade, so we're gonna wait. I hear that that's pretty uncommon, or at least from the people that I've talked to, nobody seems to know that that's a thing that could happen. But that's what happened to me. And yeah, so they told me that they would let me know by the beginning of spring semester, which is on Tuesday. Today's Thursday. And today, after a lot of emails and poking around and stopping into office hours and stuff, I finally got the approval for my change of major / college. So, it's been a long process. I've been tormented since March, but, yeah. So I would highly recommend, as soon as you know what you want to switch, just take the classes that you need to take and make sure you take an engineering class, and hopefully things go well. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the application itself. I kind of have so far outlined how the process is, but the application is kind of a long process. None of it is really hard. It's just kind of annoying. I think there's 4 things that you have to solve. I'll put a link in the description box, if I remember, to the change of college page. But there's like a whole list of things that you need. So, okay. The first thing you're gonna need, which is really easy, is your unofficial transcript, which you can find in Cal Central under academics. You can just go to your academic summary and then print a PDF, and then, you know, that's your unofficial transcript. And then you're gonna need to do your major application worksheet, which is basically where you list out all of the grades that you've gotten in the class that you've taken that apply to the major that you're in. So for me, it was like, you know, Math 1A, Math 1B, Math 53, Math 54, physics. And then for all the things you haven't taken yet, you write in when you're planning on taking it. So like, since I hadn't taken them yet, I wrote like fall 2020 for like Chem and E7, and then for the following, or for the rest of them, it's just like you just put whatever semester you're planning on taking them in. They just need to see that you have shown forethought and you like have an idea of how it's gonna go, how the rest of your like college career is gonna go. So, you know, they just list like the requirements that they have for you, and then you just like write in either your grade or when you're gonna take it. And then under grade points, you just put in, if you go into your academic summary, I believe if you go into your academic summary, it'll tell you how many grade points you get per class, and that's just based on the units. And yeah, it's based on the units and it's based on what grade you got. And so then that'll tell you how many grade points you get. And basically what this is doing is it's just calculating your GPA for like certain classes. So they want to know your like lower division GPA, or your lower division technical GPA at least, is because they only include like the technical classes. And so then you just like calculate it for yourself. And then they just want to make sure that you've taken like, you know, your RNC requirements and whatever. So you just like enter in those. And that's kind of it for the mechanical engineering change of application worksheet. Now that's the first paperwork thing you have to do. Next, you have to do your degree worksheet. And your degree worksheet is like it's very similar. But it's more tailored to, you know, your degree. So same deal for the lower division requirements. You just put in your grades and when you took it, or if you haven't taken it yet, when you're planning on taking it, and all the unit amounts for how many units each one is worth, which is kind of silly because I think like the units for each class don't change, but whatever, they want you to input that also. Also, as a side note, I took physics 5A and 5B, which is physics for physics students. And for the engineering stuff, you're supposed to have taken physics 7A and 7B, which is a level below the 5 series. But when I was kind of filling out my application, I just crossed out the 7s and wrote 5s instead. And then I like filled in how many units that those were, because they're a little bit different. So I think if you're applying to if you're applying to engineering, you can either have taken the 7 series or the 5 series, but the 8 series I don't think will count because that's a level below the 7 series and you need to have taken 7 or 5. So yeah, you put in your grades, when you took things, blah, blah, blah. If you don't have grades yet, don't worry about it, just don't put it. And then basically this whole thing is just like, they just list a whole list of upper division courses that you need to take that, I mean, I'm assuming you haven't taken yet. And for that, I just didn't put in the grade and I just put in the semester I'm planning on taking it. And then on the far right, it just talks about like what humanities, social sciences classes that you need to take or have taken. And you can just kind of like list them through. So, you know, it's like your 2 RNCs, 2 lower division, one of them can be subbed with an AP score, and then 2 upper division ones. And you don't, if you haven't taken them yet, you don't have to like know exactly which ones you're going to take, because they all just kind of like cycle through anyways. But you can just like, if you haven't taken one yet, you can just write like H/SS upper division, like spring 2022, if you don't know what you're doing yet. And then they just want to make sure you've done all your campus requirements, which I had, thank God, by the time you're applying. And then they just want to know what like design course and quantitative course you're going to take. It doesn't really matter, as long as you just need to pick one of them and then say what semester you're going to take it in. It doesn't really matter. You can figure that out later. Just put one in so that they know that you've thought about it, but you're not wedded to any of these. They just want to know that you have thought about it. So I put engineering 128 and ME 120. I don't know if I'm actually going to end up taking those, but that's just what I put in the application. And so what the peer advisor told me. She's like, it doesn't really matter what you put for that. Okay, so that's your second piece of paperwork. Your next piece of paperwork is your program planning form, which is basically, it's your 4-year plan starting from when you're applying. So including the semester that you apply to the College of Engineering, you're gonna put in your, your course schedule and all your units and total unit count. And basically you're just gonna fill out a 4-year plan so that they know that you can finish the major in the allotted time. So, like my next semester is still a catch-up semester for me, but I'm going to take ME 40, MEC 85, and then I need to take, and then taking E26 as well, because that's a catch-up thing. And then, you can write in if you're going to take a decal or something, or when you're going to take your humanities, social sciences, courses and whatever, but you just are going to like fill in everything, show the unit count. Basically, you're just showing to them that, you can finish the major in a reasonable amount of time. That's kind of like, everybody should have done a 4-year plan by now anyways, or else I don't know how you're living. But that's like kind of straightforward and is based on whatever you want to do. Okay, next one is the change of major form. This one, okay, yeah, this one is another one that's just like, it's just a, like, it's when you're switching, your name, birthday, student ID, email, number or phone number, address, registration status, and then you just say like, I'm going from this college to that college, this major to that major, and then you give your signature, and then other official people sign it, and then it goes through. Yeah, there's not really any thinking you have to do for that one. You just kind of have to like fill it out with, your information. And then you just need a personal statement, which is 1 to 2 pages. I think I did a double spaced. But the instructions are super vague. It's just like 1 to 2 pages explaining your motivation and preparation for an engineering degree. Which is basically just like, why do you want to switch? What are your interests? How did you decide you wanted to do that? Like, they just want to make sure that, you thought about it, because you can't switch once you're there. And so you can kind of write whatever you want, as long as, it's thoughtful and it shows that, you want to switch. I kind of took them through, like, my honest story, which is basically that I had applied to when I applied to college back in like high school, I applied to every single university that I applied to under whatever their College of Engineering was. I applied into mechanical or bio-E in every application except UC Berkeley, which I decided to do physics because, I don't know, I just decided to do that. And so I kind of always known that I wanted to be in engineering. And then I talked about like I talked about my hearing loss and how technology impacts me, which is kind of a thing. And then I talked about, oh, and then I just like wrote about some like extracurriculars that I did that like are not engineering extracurriculars, but they kind of show similar qualities. So like, you know, like prototyping and like, I don't know, just like trial and error kinds of like handsy, I don't know, activities and stuff. And then like, you know, initiative and that, like just those kinds of like soft skills. So yeah, you really don't need like robotics experience or anything to apply. I just kind of wrote about things that I had actually done. Yeah, I talked about like, you know, skill sets and like how things go together. It was like pretty, I don't know, whatever. And then yeah, I just kind of talked about problem solving and like why I want to do engineering, and that was kind of my essay. I wrote 2 pages double space because I wasn't sure if they wanted it double or single space. So 2 pages double space is about a page single space, or 2 pages double space, which fits into 1 to 2 pages. So that's kind of what I did, and I think that's kind of, I mean, they list a bunch of topics that you could include. You don't have to include all of them. They're just like, are pointing you in a direction. And I kind of think that's it for how to transfer into the College of Engineering. The website is kind of circular and kind of annoying, so I'm just gonna put in the description of this video like the one that I used, because they make it so difficult to find this page because they don't want you to find it, but I'm gonna put it there for you guys. I'm assuming that the people that are gonna want to watch this is like very few, but for those of you out there, this is for you. And it lists, the link that I'm gonna put is not specific to mechanical engineering. It's for like anyone that you want to do. So it lists all the majors that you could possibly pick. And I'm also sorry if I've been looking up at my screen the whole time. I've just been like reading off my computer to make sure I'm giving the right information. But I think that's kind of it. If anybody has any questions ever, feel free to let me know, either in the comment section or through my Instagram DMs. And yeah, I'm always willing to answer questions, and I promise it's a lot easier than you think. Oh, one more note is that you can't apply into EECS anymore. You can no longer apply to, oh, for those of you that don't know what EECS is, it's electrical engineering and computer science. So you can't apply into anything with EECS in it, but other than that, pretty much everything else is fair game. Make sure your GPA is where it needs to be. Yeah, make sure you check that. I know MECI's was pretty low, but BioEase is a little higher. But as long as, you know, your technical GPA is where it needs to be, then you're kind of, you know, they don't really have that much of a reason to accept you or to deny you. I had another thought and I forgot it. But yeah, you know, best of luck. It's not meant to be impossible. It's just meant to be difficult. But if you really want it, you can definitely do it. I know that they make it sound like they can only admit as many students as like spaces they have or whatever, like however many people drop out is however many people they're gonna let in, which like I don't actually know if that's true. All I know is that it's not as difficult to get in as they make it sound on the website. So yep, best of luck, and I guess that's it. Bye-bye.